Hey guys, this is Tina B.
And Charmaine G.
We're here to talk about the messiness of life. It's ugly.
And it's raw.
It's real.
And it's a freaking game.
It's whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
This is us.
And our gift to you.
Hello there.
Happy Tuesday!
She's full of it again.
Do you remember that Robin Williams?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Do it. Do it,
No.
Tina. Come on.
Good morning, Vietnam.
I love it. Hey,
Robin
wackos.
Williams is a great. I can't
believe it.
duplicate him. He's just wonderful.
No. And do you know how many movies he actually was in?
No.
Me
but
neither.
I'm certain
I don't
it was
know.
many, many, many.
They were all good.
How are you today?
Actually, now that I'm sitting here with you,
Hi.
I'm high.
Good.
Yeah, I'm totally high.
A little freebie. That's nice.
It's off of natural endorphins.
Me too. I'm feeling it today.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Good. I wasn't feeling it
Absolutely.
until literally I sat
Oh,
down.
my goodness.
Yeah.
There's something magical about this room.
No medical marijuana necessary here.
That's good. Good. Cool.
Sean.
Okay, so it's Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
How much did you eat?
I allowed myself to eat as much as I wanted to. I went
for
to my
you.
in-laws in California. We ate the turkey. My mother-in-law did a turkey that was so moist and wonderful. It was perfect.
Oven?
So,
Was it in
so
the
good.
oven?
Mhm. It was, I know that's a horrible word, but it was damp? No.
No, moist.
It was wet? What do you
Moist
say?
and tender.
It wasn't
white.
dry. How about that? It wasn't dry.
White or dark?
So it was delicious. And then they make this cream corn that's like crack. It's got like 180,000 calories per spoonful. And, the yams and
Yep.
all the stuff. I had
Yeah.
a taste of everything. Beautiful. The green beans were good with bacon that was fried fresh right there.
You you should be a food critic. As
Please,
much
it's
as
my
you
dream
make your
job.
lunches fancy at work and you bring in your home to the office
I
and
do.
you do your gourmet
I have
stuff.
gadgets and all kinds
She
of
had
stuff at work.
lentils today. I'm sorry, everyone.
Well, we'll talk about the lentils because that's part of something I started yet
Ooh.
again yesterday. So what about you? Did you have a little bit of everything?
Okay, so I didn't have much of an appetite. And I actually...
Was that because there was an emotional
Good
stoppage?
Good question. And yes, the
Okay.
answer is yes.
Okay.
So when I did sit down, nothing tasted good. And to be honest with you, my mom's really a great cook, a good cook. I'm ready to bring on my own traditions. So I've never had to do a Thanksgiving meal. I know I never had to cook. I always bring stuff, but I've never had to cook. So I think next year I'm going to cook my own damn bird.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good for
I
you.
don't know. Maybe
I think
air fry
everybody's
it.
got to do it. Air fry it.
I
Well,
think I got
that's
one for Christmas coming,
there's-
so I'm going to
really?
air fry the shit out of that bird.
Cool.
Okay.
So good. I'm glad that you were able to
Thanks.
spend it with your family because that's really what's important, right?
It really was. And
Me
I
too.
was, I'm not going to lie to you, my dad, every holiday, 4th of July, every holiday that we get together as a family, he does this trivia thing. Yeah, so he'll do a little bit of research. This time around, it was about our family heritage. Samuel Fuller was a 12-year-old boy on the Mayflower, and he's my mother's 9th generation cousin, brother. I don't know what the hell he
Relation
is.
of
yeah,
sorts.
Yeah, ancestor. 9 generations. He was on the Mayflower. And when they finally got here, out of the 150 people, I can't believe I'm remembering all this. Good job, Dad, for teaching
Yeah,
me.
good job, you.
Only 40 actually lived because of all the storms and the things that they went through sailing to the United States. Actually, it was North America. But when they got here, Samuel Fuller's dad was a doctor, and he had died. So his uncle actually raised him. So he does these things that just gives us information, or he'll, sometimes my favorite is when he'll say, hey, I've got $5, whoever can guess this right. No Google, no phone are allowed. And he just has the most random trivia.
Oh, really?
And you can bank. I mean, he'll just shell it out. So
Really?
yeah, I'm dumb and I don't really get the money, but
Don't say you're dumb.
But he asks questions that are freaking
Well, are
cool.
they like history rich and stuff like
yeah,
that?
and quirky, and sometimes
Yeah, like the guy who came off the Mayflower. I mean, when I think about the Mayflower, I think about that guy that stepped on Plymouth Rock from 3rd grade with the big buckle on his shoe. Like that's it.
the big Capricorn that you got to make.
Cornucopia.
Cornucopia. What do I call it? Capricorn. Shit. All right. So.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay.
But you were in Cali.
I did, and we brought our daughters with us.
Oh.
We brought Samantha, who's 15. She doesn't have a choice. I mean, she's coming.
She wanted to.
Of course. And then my 22-year-old came, who immediately turned into
12.
When are we stopping for snacks? Where are the snacks? Can we go to McDonald's? Are we there yet?
I have to go to the
Pulling
bathroom.
my hair. She put candy on top. She was putting pulling one little string of hair.
Ooh, those hurt so bad.
And giggling like, I know.
Oh,
So I was ready
in
to
her
get rid of
element.
them after 6 hours. Bye.
Did you say you rode in the back seat with them?
No.
Oh, okay. I
no.
pictured that.
No,
and I was
no.
like, that was
No, but they've been
trip.
making that trip since 2003. Samantha was born in 2005, so they've been making that trip for a good 15 years.
to
I
see
go
your
back
dad
at
and
least
stuff, huh?
once a year.
Yeah.
So it's a long trip. It's a long ride. And,
What a
we
long-
DJ, we play music, we listen to podcasts. I did say, Greg said, why don't you put on your podcast, honey? And both of the girls went, no, please.
What the heck? I'm going to get them in a
I
room
know.
with my dad.
Little bratties.
Yeah, seriously. And they can all hash it out because they have no idea what they're missing.
I know.
Bam.
Marissa has listened to a couple. Sam just can't. Sam can't be bothered with anything that doesn't really involve something she might gain. And I'm not putting her down. She's 15.
Yep.
And at that age, she's thinking about very little.
Yeah,
Or
just
serving
getting-
others, or like that's
Yeah.
not her jam right
Just
now.
getting by.
Yeah.
Just getting by
Yeah,
and getting
so-
the bare minimum done.
I did. That's a good segue actually into what else I wanted to. Okay, so I ate at Thanksgiving,
Uh-huh.
and I allowed myself to eat as much as I wanted to. I always feel a little sick after I overindulge. I
Sure.
just don't feel good.
Sure.
But I didn't want this Thanksgiving to go by without me having a little bit of everything. Okay. So I also did it because I knew I was going to start my cleanse today. I know, which I want to say that it's not a cleanse anymore because I really want it to be a lifestyle now.
Sure.
I do not
That's a
feel
pretty big commitment, Tina.
it's huge, but I will tell you that it's the Quantum Cleanse by Kathy Freston. I want to plug her as much as I can. Or the book. And it's a mind, body, spirit cleanse.
Wow.
But I never feel better than when I'm doing that. That and I couple it with my hot yoga in the morning or my
Uh-huh.
hot bar or whatever I
Sure.
some punishment I choose
Your
to do before I go to
mindfulness
work.
and,
Yeah.
and your relaxation.
So, I mean, I feel clean. I feel, I'm 2 days in and I already feel just so good. And I'm still detoxing.
Do you go to the
from
bathroom
junk.
okay? Like,
Well,
I mean, that's a serious question.
Totally,
Curious question, actually.
Totally. And I think a lot of women suffer from issues with that. I do, but I try to eat as much fiber as I can so that I can.
Yeah.
But there's issues for sure.
I've heard that, like, because I've never really done a cleanse. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's why I am flabbergasted that you can hang on for 21 days and cut caffeine, coffee, sugar, everything out. Like,
when somebody
You're a
else says it
strong
back
woman.
to me, I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't think that. I think that
you have to be committed.
Well, I am also driven by pain.
Yeah, you are.
So I was having this pain in my side, and I went to the doctor, and he told me that it's not anything to be worried about. He thought maybe it was my gallbladder. It's
Recently?
not. Yeah, like a couple weeks ago.
Crap.
And so, but when the ultrasound came back and he, reviewed it and did all that stuff, he said that it was not anything he was worried about. Or, because when they say that, you're like, oh, great, I can go overindulge now. And he said, but it's nothing that diet and exercise can't fix. So I ask for these answers. I'm always just looking to the universe and to God and to get these, help me, give me a sign. How can I, change my heathen ways? And that trip to the doctor did it for me. That was enough for me. I'm, in the middle of my life, maybe 2/3 ish in my life, age-wise, and I'm in a place where I need to take better care of my body because it doesn't function like it did when I was 25,
Yeah.
35, or even 45, honestly.
Also, our mental state. Did you know that once people reach the age of 20, they start losing their memory capacity?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Technically, we only have so much memory bank, and the first thing to go is short term. So, because it has to spill out somewhere, so you're going to lose memories. The second is long-term memories that are not attached to intense emotion. And then the final hoorah is emotional memories. Is that what we hang on to? Have you ever been with somebody when they've passed away?
Not present in the, well, my doggy, but that's it.
Oh.
Not a human,
And
no.
maybe he was talking to you at that time, but I have. I've been with many people when they were passing in hospice care.
Many? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were in hospice care, so okay.
I was the director of a hospice care, and with that, they were very, kind of in that delusional state because they tend to not eat for 3 days. That's when you know.
Doesn't your life like flash before your eyes? I mean, and I don't mean that in a way like when you're on the roller coaster and you think you're going to die, but life literally, you start to relive stuff, right?
Yeah. And they're really not communicative, but they're, using their hands and communicating that way, but their eyes are kind of glazed or shut, and you can tell that they're reliving the intense
really
memories of their life. And my grandma was the last one that passed away. And I remember like wanting to learn more about her. So I just quietly watched her. And she was a mother of 10.
Oof.
Single.
Wow.
Yeah, single. Had marriages in between. But she raised 10 kids on her own through the segregation period and whatnot. With that, I think that's where I get my grit from. And she, with her experience of raising those kids, those were probably her most precious things that she ever was talking about for the last 2-3 days. And my mom.
So do you feel like when she passed, like my big thing being in this life right now is to be emotionally, spiritually, and physically clean. Now, that doesn't mean that I have to be like the next Miss Universe. This is what I know. I know that when I am doing everything that I know to to take care of myself in those 3 areas, everything, daily.
Sure.
I don't stress about anything. A lot of the negative self-talk goes away.
Really?
Yes. So when I start to cleanse, I don't go to bed going, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that, whatever it was, because now my tummy hurts or I'm uncomfortable. So there goes that. That's the physical part of it. And then spiritually, if I'm not like doing my gratitude list and just doing the things that sustain me that way, I can feel that. Me, it's just guilt. I don't, I don't know. But so, and emotionally, if I lay my head down at night, this has gotten better over the years. It's not completely gone though. I mean, there's times when, I blew up at somebody a few weeks ago. I mean, it just didn't take much and I lost my, totally. I mean,
I wish I could have seen that.
It was all over the place. Well, it was ugly for one.
Who was it? Can I ask?
No.
No. Okay, we'll do it off air.
But Greg, I told you about it.
Yeah.
And Greg was like closing the windows and like he doesn't come from that. He does not come from that. And I'm just like, wow.
You're like,
anyway, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
I feel bad for them.
But things like that.
No, I don't actually.
After that, I'm like, oh, I probably could have handled that better. Like those emotional things. Maybe I didn't have to, snap at Samantha because she asked me for something when I was in the middle of doing something else and whatever. So when I am, there's a balance. It's like juggling.
Focusing.
Yeah. You're like throwing the spiritual ball up, the emotional one, and then the physical one. And if you can get where there's a balance. And they each play off of one another, and it's a beautiful dance. It's a beautiful thing for me.
I mean, you feel grounded. You don't feel like you're reactive. You feel like you're just more in a balanced, focused state.
Yeah, everything is clicking,
Yeah.
man. It's a zone.
Yep.
Everything is clicking. So I wanted to add one thing. Wait, 1 second.
Okay,
Just 1 second.
We're gonna
Hold that thought.
Okay, I'm on it. I will forget, but I'll try.
Along with the cleanse, and I didn't tell you this earlier, I decided to cleanse my mouth of the F-bomb. I know.
I
No,
did too.
Sean
This
doesn't
is so
have the belt.
freaking weird.
Are you serious?
I'm not. I am dead serious.
So weird. And I'll tell you.
I revised my goal list.
So this is what happened for me.
Spiritual, professional,
Because we've had the discussion about the F word. We have. I make no bones about it. I've said it. This is what happened. Over the weekend, the Thanksgiving weekend, I wanted my mother-in-law to listen to the mouse story. And there was a lot of F words in there.
Oh, shoot.
And the kids were around, and like we had to
Yep.
I was
Screening.
like,
It was PG-13.
and I wasn't ashamed. I just felt, I walked away from that feeling like this thing that I'm doing, that we are doing together, that means so much to us, shouldn't be censored. Like I should have been able to play that little snippet in front of the family without having to like try to bleep out and fast forward and do all of that.
Yeah.
I walked away from that thinking, I just walked away from it thinking it might be better if I just took that word out of my vocabulary for a little while. I don't know, get back to me. In 21 days, I might,
No, it's going to be a lifestyle. Don't forget. Tina, it's a reactive thing. That day that I regurgitated, it was warranted. I spilled over. I'm not gonna lie.
No regrets, man.
Yeah, I did actually, and it's unfortunate because I do affect people. They look up to me, or they expect me to represent them, and I have self-control, and I wasn't practicing it. So I took that in, and I felt like, you know what, I can just do better. That I can just do better. I'm not going to look back going, yep, I deserve that.
No.
And that's where we're at. It's literally, I can do better. So I cannot wait because you know why? That's under my spiritual column. That's where my imbalance has been, in a sense, to where I want to get there so bad in a full, whole completeness that I was just desensitized about some things.
I agree. And it was until I played it back and listened to it that I thought, maybe I could be doing better than that. Maybe what the voice that I want the world to hear, all you 5 people, you hear that?
That's
I want it to be strong. And clear, and I want it to be, and I don't think that always has to contain profanity to get the point across. I think that I love vocabulary, and I love words, and I love finding new ways of punctuating my vocabulary and the things that I say.
You actually say some things. I don't know if I've told you this, but I'll go in and look it up afterwards. I do, because I'm like, I'm just going to act like I know what the hell she's talking about, and I'm going to go look smart. Next time I say it, I'm going to use it. But
okay, so there's the cleanse. So
I
what were you
appreciate that honesty, because when you make the commitment to something, even if you have a slip up or a setback, it means nothing that you cannot overcome. And so many people think, oh, man, I just can't see. That's just who I am. And I'm like, that one's got to sting. You're just totally keeping yourself as a victim. Doesn't make sense. Because you're always going to try. That's how we're built to be as humans. You try, you try, you try, you try.
But I want to stop cussing because I want to stop cussing.
Go for it.
Not because I think somebody else thinks that I should. Like, everything's got to be my idea.
Yep. You're true to yourself. You're trying to be very authentic to yourself, because how often do you live for other people? I mean,
not very much anymore, but I have spent a lot of time. Be a mom. Give birth, and you're doing it.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. I actually wanted to say something pretty raunchy on that, but I'm going to hold it back. With the, I knew I wouldn't remember the comment. I knew I wasn't going to remember
darling.
It's fine. It's my memory. My memory is shit.
You were just talking about the short-term memory, right? Okay, did you know that Sunday was the busiest day for U.S. travel since the pandemic began?
I love how we just squirrel.
We went right into something else. 1.7 million. According to the TSA, on Sunday.
On this last Sunday?
Why not Wednesday and Sunday. Did people
all road travel or air
travel,
okay.
TSA, so flying.
Ow, wow.
So people flew from Wednesday, probably Thursday, maybe Friday, I don't know. And then Sunday, everybody came back. So it wasn't, it was.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. But it's down, I think, 10% from, or 40% maybe from last year.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I know the airline industry is struggling.
So while I was in California, I did a little Black Friday shopping. I felt kind of bad when we were having our little party at work. Everybody went around and said what they were going to do. And I said, I was so proud to say that I was going Black Friday shopping. And not because I was bragging about it, but because through the pandemic, I have remained employed, thank God. And it's very important that I put that money back out into the economy through small businesses. And I did a bunch of online shopping. Girls, my girls, yes. And through small businesses, through blah, blah.
A Wayfair and Amazon were my small businesses. Yeah, I actually spent way too much money because I'm trying to furnish my home.
Sure.
It's going to be done in 3 weeks. And I'm like buying bulk stuff because I had to buy everything new. I gave everything away because it made me feel guiltless, whatever. But it was fun. Shopping.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, can I ask you? I'm going to ask you on air. Does shopping feed your pleasure sensor?
Yes, and something, absolutely.
All I have to say is the word pleasure, and Sean's like,
and, look, he's scratching things
wow,
out.
Chicka, wow. I did it.
So totally it does. But I can get strung out on that, like spending too much money. I can get really strung out on that and feel like, oh, shit, what, like I just
I'm going to pay for this
Too many shots of whiskey. That's what it feels like. Seriously,
doesn't even match.
It doesn't, but that's what it feels like. It's like I get up the next day and I'm like looking at the stuff.
You're
hungover. And I'm like, oh my god. I mean, the boots are nice, but like,
But when you get them in the mail for like the next 3 weeks, you're like, what did I get today? I forgot.
I did order a new yoga mat, a Manduka that I really wanted, and I've been eyeballing it for a while. So
that sounds expensive.
It was half price on Black Friday.
Hey, there we go.
So it was $40. It was like an $80 mat.
What the freaking heck is it worth it? But
they're nice.
I believe
it's a nice mat.
I believe you. Maybe I'll come and chakra with you, or what do you namaste it sometime. I've heard it's very. I mean, Jennifer Aniston. Look at her. She does it every day.
Hot yoga is wonderful. It's like detoxing all this junk out of your body daily.
I do that every day about 8:20 a.m. myself. my body's on
Charmaine
a clock.
Just snorted.
Snorted? Oh yeah, it is snorted. My body's on a clock. Go back. We got bullet points, but the thing is it doesn't matter.
I spent money at a place that I used to work at when I was 18 years old called the Record Alley in Palm Desert Mall.
That's cool.
And I thought of our friend Rick. It's called the Record Alley. It's a record store.
Oh, cool.
Vinyl.
Do you have a record player?
No.
Oh.
But they have buttons and posters and T-shirts and it's
that's cool.
Samantha loves that store. She'll spend an hour in there easily. So
those vibes are cool.
So we did that. That's another small business. Shout out to the Record Alley in Palm Desert. They've been in business for 50 years.
Wow, they made it through. Man, see, that means that they're quality because so many businesses shut down.
I know. He's been in the same location for not the entire 50, but since I was 18, I ran that little
You worked there?
I worked there and then I was the manager.
We
were great friends. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So I gave back to that place. So let's talk about, we're getting ready to go to a break. Think about this. Think about the things that you've done, if ever, to cleanse physically, spiritually, reset, and emotionally. Like all three of those places, anytime that you've maybe wiped the slate
all at the
clean,
same time.
Or separately, it doesn't matter, however.
Separately is good for me. I've always had just an imbalance. Nothing that I'm like all rerouting anything. There was a time in my life that I definitely could say I had to have a complete change of heart, a flip. Yeah. Flip the coin. It's time to go to the other side.
So let's talk about what we have found that works and share it.
I love it.
And then what has not worked.
Yeah, I love it. Maslow's hierarchy of need, right?
This is Whack-A-Mole with Tina B and Charmaine G. Raw discussion about the messiness of life. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Whack-A-Mole. We welcome you back to Whack-A-Mole. Raw discussions about the messiness of life. Now, here are your hosts, Tina B and Charmaine G.
Tina B, hi.
We're back. Okay. So,
Good question. I will answer that.
Okay.
Again, physically, I've really focused on that since my divorce.
we're talking about taking care of ourselves emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Sorry, I just wanted to catch them up.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're just
so
joining.
physically, I always, kind of do the opposite to where whenever I'm living stressful or high intensity, which is all the time, that I don't take good care of myself. But then when I'm in a comfortable space and maybe in a loving relationship, I get comfortable, I'll treat myself, and I will put on weight. And I'm too damn short to put on weight, to be honest with you. It's like, oompa. With that, I have just said, I'm getting older, and my metabolism's gone to the point where I actually have to do something about it. And I'm not in the best shape of my life, but I'm going to get there, damn it.
Ditto.
And what worked for me then doesn't work for me now.
Right.
Emotionally, every day. I think it's honestly what's going on in my life. However, though, when you look at emotions, every exposure to an experience or a conversation is going to change that. So if you're coming into the game, like, when you're at work and somebody comes in and they're already pissed off or they're carrying something from their home in or whatever, and everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to go around her.
They look like Pigpen.
Yeah.
With the energy around them, they're just like, you just see them coming
like
a mile away.
They're
like,
storming,
oh, yeah.
and then it can bleed. So I think emotionally, I had mentioned today that somebody was like, are you really always this happy? Like, is it real? And I said, it's real when I'm actually happy. Yeah. But I didn't invite you in my office when I was crying 2 hours ago either. So, I don't know where you're going with that, because I'm going to have emotions and I'm going to have things that cause that that's life.
So do you think
That's
crying
life.
is part of an emotional
Releasing
cleanse?
an emotional, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
me
yeah.
too.
I didn't for years.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine my life. I've been a crier since I was a little girl.
Really?
Oh
No
my gosh,
periods of complacency, no plateaus or anything, huh?
I think maybe when I was in my addiction, like back in my 20s, I just, but it came after that. I've always found relief in that. Some people think it's shameful to cry. Somebody not very long ago told me if I cried as much as you, I'd commit myself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm not.
I feel good about it.
I feel good about it. And I think the body remembers.
Yeah.
I think that the body holds on to everything. That's the next book on my list. I've read some quotes from it that I have right now actually here.
I love it.
But that's the next book, because I think that we hold on to so much stuff. If we choose not to deal with it, it gets stored away, as that energy gets stored away somewhere. And, I've mentioned the untethered soul a million times, that Michael Singer talks about how we should allow stuff to pass through us. Because when we hold on to things, we're holding on to, it's like toxic waste.
Yes.
You know?
Well, you can't really heal. You can't even have like a baseline to even get started whenever you're emotionally, it turns physical too. Do you agree with that? Like, Have you ever been so emotionally upset, not the physical crying and actual tears coming out, but to where you're nauseous, maybe you've thrown up
Yes.
and you're shaking?
Anxiety,
Yeah,
like to
migraine.
the point of no return sometimes. Yes, that's
Right.
crazy. It's like I just want to go and put the covers over
So
my head.
all those 3 areas impact one another.
I mean, it's so easy to intellectualize that and for us to say it and to see it. To be able to balance that and to really work that and navigate it is my life's work, for crying out
Being
loud.
aware, though. I mean, so many people can say, I'm just hungry, or I didn't get enough sleep last night. Instead of taking a deep look of, hey, I'm really not attacking this thing. I'm avoiding it. And I understand why, because I just don't want to deal with it. Confrontation, I'm afraid and fear. That's what's recently going on. I think for the most part is, for me, that's when I'm going to grow. And I'm just going to warn you viewers, when a trial comes along in my world, it does nothing but get me stronger.
So, okay, so emotionally, we've said we cry. I cry.
Yeah.
That's a thing for
Yeah.
me. And I shared a few episodes back about on that forgiveness episode, how I cried and cried about the grief of my mom, the
Yeah.
grief I had been
Yeah.
holding in for a long time, and finally let that go, and how that cleansed me of so many things. And I think if I can do that at least weekly, not daily, that's what in order, I can't go through with it, but weekly, I think that I could be clean enough to at least pass something on to my kids.
Yeah.
And not be, I don't want to be, how am I trying to say this? If I hold on to emotional things and it becomes toxic for me, it's got to come out sometime.
Yeah.
And it's going to come out as angry words. Usually
Secondary.
if somebody, you ever been just doing something like maybe you're in the kitchen cooking or cleaning or something.
I don't do that.
You're engaged in some sort of activity, okay? And not talking to anybody, but you're obsessing. And you're obsessing and like your innocent little child comes in and goes, Mom, and you like immediately get angry because they've now interrupted you obsessing on negative thoughts that aren't even in your space right now. And I've done that. I've done that.
Yeah.
And I tried so emotionally. When I lay down at night, I mean, I go through a little bit of a checklist, call it an inventory if you want to. I mean, it's not like, I'm not a spiritual giant or anything. I'm not trying to portray that. I'm just saying that I like to look back and go, I probably could have done that better. I probably should have said this a little bit different, and then maybe I'll go back and make that right and show some sort of increase of love or whatever, whatever's warranted there.
Right.
You know? So, but physically, what do you do physically to take care of yourself? Or do you?
I do. I've been running. I used to be a competitive runner, but however, I think a lot of it is actually caring. You can actually say you want to do something, but when you deeply have a care and a desire, action takes place for me to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for me. I get one body, one mind, one spirit, one soul, one shot at this freaking life. So I got to do something about it. I can tell you one of the biggest, so the 3 areas of dimensions that we're talking about, the 3 areas in the spheres of emotional, physical, and spiritual is who we are as humans. There's many dimensions to those, though, and they have kind of a hierarchy order. That's why we're emphasizing emotional so much, because we're built with feelings. I'm going to tell you a story. Whenever I was second child in, baby blues, talked about that before, devastating baby blues, like off the rocker baby blues, stupid medication they never told me to stop taking, damn it. That I go in there and the doctor's like, how's things going? What medication are you on? And I update him and he was like, can I tell you something? And I said, sure. And he's like, it's kind of personal. I'm like, okay. And he said, no, well, I'm flowing. And he said, why do you take that? And I said, because the kids suck the life out of me and I'm not working right anymore. And he said, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Are you LDS? And I said, yeah, I am.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I'm going to tell you,
sorry.
just because I think, honestly, it identifies that you are spirituality. I mean, I could say, are you Catholic, are you Baptist, whatever. But we live in freaking Utah, so sure.
Sorry.
It's cool. I didn't take it as like a spiritual racism. It's fine. When he asked that, I said, I am. And he said, you and I, everyone in this entire world that's a human was born a baby. And every baby that was born has a range of the same emotions. And we're supposed to learn and have those expressions of emotions. So when you take that out of the element, you're really disservicing yourself. Mm. And I thought, well, can you tell my husband that? Because he really does not want me off my medication.
Right. So his solution was to walk through it. We're born like this. We got to walk through the pain. Yeah. See, that's a huge motivator for me. I have always been, thank goodness, driven physically. Like, I don't have a problem with exercise, and I like it. It's an outlet for me. I enjoy that. And I played sports when I was young and kind of a tomboy. That's just the way I'm wired. So when I get out there and do it, the older I get and the more time I spend at my job and the more time I spend with my family, and there's not always that time that I get to take. I have to take it early in the morning because nobody gives a shit about me then. They just don't. Yeah. That's the best time to do anything, by the way, is when everybody's sleeping, because everybody's safe. Nobody wants any food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a ride.
Yeah. Or mom.
And you
mom,
know where they all are.
Mom.
Like they're, you know, and they're quiet.
Oh, when do you get up? What time?
I try to get up about 4:45.
What the hell?
5 o'clock ish. But I stopped doing that for 2 weeks. I haven't done it.
What are you at now?
I get up when I'm supposed to, like my alarm clock goes up at like 5:15. I get out of bed at like 5:30, quarter to 6.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Even if I'm just laying there for the longest time, just thinking or whatever, I like to do that.
What's the first thing that you do when you wake up?
I just stare at the ceiling. I wake up and I look around at my surroundings and I just kind of make a spiritual connection with my higher power. That. I do.
Same.
I need that quiet. But then it's not always like that either, because Samantha, loves to come in and get right in my face and just stare at me until I'm just like, oh my gosh.
That's spiritual.
Hello, good morning. Yeah.
No, I know. I say a prayer because for me, that armors me up. That makes me feel like that's part of who I am for sure. And I can't do this alone. Can we dive into that? Is that cool?
Dive.
Thank you.
Cannonball.
I think we're talking about physical. Emotional is like the biggest priority. And let me read the 8 dimensions really quick. Emotional, the second spiritual, third intellectual, physical, environmental. That's huge. Who we're surrounding ourselves with and what environment can play a part in the other dimensions. Financial, occupational. You got to love what you do for work. And if you don't love it, figure it out or move on.
In our culture, because we spend at least 40 hours a week doing that. They're not doing that in the bush.
They're not doing that in the bush.
They're not.
On the farmlands. And social is 8. And the bottom of it is the social. And I've always thought we're connected. We have a sense of a desire for belonging with others. There's been the most growing periods of my life was when I was alone. I was asked by my counselor last week. I've started going to therapy. Woo! I'm not going to lie to you. It is a safe place. It provides non-biased feedback, and I get an understanding of a focus just for myself that hour, right? And I have to pay a lot of freaking money to do it, but I want to invest that in myself. And when I was talking about who I am as a person, I identified that I tend to tone it back with the spirituality. Work environments, things like that. I kind of portray that, you know, that I'm more on the other levels of dimension. Like I'm emotional, I'm fun, I'm lifting, I'm, you know, wanting to push people and encourage and hope and all of those things. However, though, the only reason I can do that is because I'm guided. I've known that. I'm going to get emotional. I've known that from the most devastating time in my life, that being comfortable with saying that I understand that I'm valuable to the core and I have a gift to give, and finding that purpose is the only way that I can get things done.
my
so
goodness.
I flip that order
That's
between
so
emotional and
true.
spiritual.
I don't think everybody gets that.
Well, you can feel it, right?
Yes, I can. I have that experience as well. Like I had a moment where I felt like divine intervention. It was like a
Last
knowing.
week when we were talking.
Well, there was that too.
That was such a good one.
Yeah, but there was also like I had this time where I was just like laying in bed going, what do you want from me, man? What am I supposed to be doing? It's bigger than just trying to pay my bills and spending time away from my kids at this job.
Just grinding,
Like it's not, there's more. There has to be more. And I got my answer. I did.
Whoa.
I got an answer just about, you're supposed to be paying more attention to your creative side. Start writing. You need to draw. You need to honor
That's your
these
talent.
These gifts that are God given.
I love
That's
that.
what it's about.
Oh my gosh, I have chills, and I did shave my legs this morning. That sucks butt. So, I like shocking him. Like, can we move this camera out of the way? Because I want to, like, you're my muse. I'm going to shock the shit out of Sean. With the spiritual side of it, and I just go spiritual when I say the S word, because that to me doesn't match. And that's kind of my conflict that I do have in myself. Being 100% on all the time, meaning like, doesn't mean that I'm not human. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to make mistakes. I have wholeheartedly, and I can definitely attest that forgiveness is real. We're our own worst critics when others and things may never even ask for forgiveness. You have to find it from yourself. And how you do that is by whatever spiritual connection you have.
What do you think? The first thing that comes into my mind when you say that is, absolutely.
Sure.
But what is human nature? The first thing we do, or at least I did it when I was young, like before kids and all that, I would just cover it up with somebody else. Like when I think about...
Blaming, you mean?
No, like if I was having a problem, like in a breakup, then I would like, at some point I would be like, okay, I've been crying for 3 weeks and this sucks. And so now I'm going to go over here and, or somebody just shows up, and he's like really bright and shiny. And I'm like, oh, let's do bright and shiny.
One, yeah.
And I've stunted my growth that way.
Yeah.
I've stopped that process of moving forward through it in order, because then I enter that not whole. That's just been my thing. I'm not.
So masking it. So to speak. I mean,
fixing it. Either you could be, that fix could be a man, in our case, a woman.
Yeah.
It could be another human being, or it can be drugs and alcohol. I mean, that's my experience.
No, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. When my point is this, is that when you're actually okay with being you, all of those things come in alignment. When you're accepting,
The juggle.
Yeah. I don't know how to juggle. But she's doing it in the studio and she's doing it in the air. So I think that's the reason why the balls aren't dropping. But I want to tell you though, when you're accepting of yourself and you say, you know what, I made a big mistake. I've wronged somebody. And instead of taking that responsibility and saying, I'm emotional, I'm messed up, I'm hurting, I'm shame, I'm guilty. And you go back into, I'm a freaking human, and please forgive me.
You have to have that humility.
Yeah. No, that's the change of heart.
Scary.
That's the change of heart, and it's acceptance. Once you have that, I promise you, you never toe the line again. You just go over the wall. You go over the wall, and you're like, you know what? I've grown as a person.
You let it pass through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm at the stage in my life to where I cling to those experiences now instead of trying to be like dismissive or be like, oh, that's too corny for me or too uncomfortable. I'm not that. Masking serves no purpose.
No.
It serves no purpose. And it's okay to kind of say, where's this coming from? And what do I need? You know what works for you. You're going to this cleanse thing because you know you've had that opposition. You know what it does for you and it benefits you. I know that when I go to church or when I go for myself, I fill my tank because I wait for that feeling. I wait for somebody to say something that reaches my personal soul that I can go, that was what I was supposed to learn today.
Yeah, totally.
That was for me. Thank you.
Those are the things that sustain you. And I have found that sustenance in many places. Healthy places though. I mean, I looked for it in the bottom of a bottle and then it wasn't there and I was drunk and it got real ugly. But so the body keeps the score, which I mentioned earlier. So we know that another human, drugs and alcohol, bringing something else into the fold before you've fully grieved doesn't work for me. So that's one thing I want to say does not work for me. Drugs and alcohol definitely don't work.
So
that's
don't
not
overlap.
To say that we should, right.
Don't overlap. Walk through it.
It's so easy for me to just sit here behind a microphone and go, just walk right through the pain, And
it's not that big of a deal.
And it is a big deal because
huge.
it can be gut wrenching. It can be fetal position. I don't want to get out of bed kind of pain.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what brings that on. It's loss. It's grief, loss, change. So I mentioned the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and I have some quotes. I have not read the book, and I always feel a little bit like a fraud, like I'm robbing the. I want to read the book, and I've listened to some of it.
That's half-assed.
But
That's
some
good.
of the
Go for
it's
it.
enough.
Yeah.
So The Body Keeps the Score. His name is Bessel A. Vander Kolk. Bessel A. Vander Kolk, Kolk. And he is the author of that book. He says, as long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself. The critical issue is allowing yourself to know what you know. That takes an enormous amount of courage. Okay, let's bust that down. As long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself.
You're not accepting.
No.
Because you're not telling yourself the truth.
I'm listening to a book that's on Reese Witherspoon's
I like her.
book club right now.
Patootie.
I decided instead of buying the hardback that I would, when we took our trip, I wanted to listen to it. And I haven't gotten completely through it. But it's about group therapy, and it's a memoir. And read by the author, and she's adorable. And she said something about one of her experiences in group that the facilitator, who's a psychologist, said to her, you're sick when you keep your own secrets, but you're even sicker when you keep somebody else's secrets.
Ooh.
And I literally listened to that I was like, what? Wait,
can
what?
you say that again?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're sick when you the more you keep your own secrets, the sicker you become. You've heard that. You're as sick as your secrets. But you're even more sick if you're keeping secrets for somebody else. Think about that. Think about how we will hold on to somebody else's fear. I think often it can start with our kids.
Or our close significant other, spouse.
This is not even true. This is just a scenario. If my daughter were afraid of the dark, then and I'm not going to force her into the dark, but how often as parents do we pick that up and carry that for them?
Yep.
You know,
they
and
have
then
to learn.
And then she's maybe going to go on a sleepover for the first time or go to the haunted house for the first time, and she's scared shitless of the dark.
Right.
And we're all keeping that secret for her because she wants to go and be a part of it. Like, that's where all that shit kind of starts. And
you know what I'm taking from this? Because we're about to end.
Yes.
What I'm taking from that is that if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to regulate your emotions, you don't know what you're feeling, you don't know how to get back on that Monday diet because you failed this last week, you don't know how to get in touch with your spiritual connection, that means yourself, actually. If you don't know how to get in touch with yourself, then reach out and talk to someone. How are you doing it? Help me, because I have this need, and it has to be filled.
Oh my goodness. And you got to find your niche. You've got to find what works for you. And
learn.
you never stop, never quit quitting.
Oh my gosh, that's what my
I
kids
never
yelled. That was
quit
our mantra.
quitting.
We never quit last night, right after we said the prayer.
So cool.
All right, viewers.
Thanks for joining us again.
You
Charmaine,
got our
I love you.
point. Balance your shit out. See?
Body,
what?
mind, and spirit. Let's do it. Let's hear from you guys this week.
Love it.
You've been listening to Whack-A-Mole with Tina B and Charmaine G. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on YouTube and subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us next time for, well, whatever may happen with Tina B and Charmaine G on Whack-A-Mole. This has been a production from a podcast studio.